Good morning, friends. We are discussing Edward Said's 1999 memoir, Out of Place. And in course of our discussion of the text, today we are actually going to discuss the process of identity formation. Identity formation and how it has been reflected in this particular memoir. We all know memoir is basically an autobiographical piece of writing. It is associated with what a man remembers. Now, when a man remembers, if you think about it, he does not only brings to mind what has happened. You know, for various reasons, because of capacity, because of need, because of ideological considerations, because of morality, he actually remembers, re-members. What does it mean? Any reconstruction of the past, any recalling of the past is basically constituted by first a dismemberment of the thousands and crores of innumerable impressions and their combinations. So after this dismemberment, there is a reconstruction, a remembering. Now, memory not only helps us in forming our personalities or coping with the past, memory can also disturb us. If there are traumatic memories, obviously we are disturbed by them. Now, when we read Out of Place or any memoir for that matter, be it My Days by R.K. Narayan or A Profile in Courage by President Kennedy, John F. Kennedy, we see that there is basically an attempt on the part of the person who remembers, the writer, to construct a view of himself or herself. Sometimes this may be conservative, defensive, self-aggrandizing. At other times, it can be brutal, it can be frank, candid. But in all cases, it reflects a process of identity formation. Now, what is identity? Deriving from the Latin identitas, from idem and from id. Its root meaning is sameness. So it actually refers to a set of features, physical, mental, intellectual, and so on and so forth, that helps someone to identify himself or herself, to think of himself or herself as a unique, separate human being. On the other hand, it also helps that individual to be identified by others. So, if identity is what helps someone like myself to think of myself as a separate individual, then by extension, this set of features also helps you in identifying me as a separate individual. Identity is what unifies the self. Identity is what differentiates the self from the others. Now, all the time I have been talking about a set of features, a set of characteristics, a set of traits. Some of these features are physical. One can be short or tall. One can be fat or thin. One can be fair or dark, and so on and so forth. Similarly, there are certain mental features. A personality. One can be meek and mild, another can be fierce and domineering, and so on and so on. So obviously there are certain factors. Physical features are there. Similarly, there are other things like gender, like sexuality, like class, like race, nationality, religion, caste, color of skin, type of hair, nature of the cheekbones and the jawbones, and so on and so forth, shape of the skull. So all these things are there. Similarly, there is age, there is health. All these actually helps us identify ourselves as well as others. So obviously, we get to understand that identity is associated with, identitas is associated with the Latin concept of quiditas, the whatness of the thing. What are you? Who are you? What kind of a person you are? All these are basically questions that help us in determining our identity. Now, who is the remembering subject in Out of Place? It is Edward Said. Think about it. What are the main things that he talks about? His family, his surroundings, his change of locations, frequent changes in location, his educational, professional, personal accomplishments and experiences. There are other things as well. For example, illness, disease, because I have talked about health as something very, very important in the formation of identity. If somebody is disabled, his disability circumscribes his identity and also her identity as well if she happens to be a woman, a female. So you will see that in this story of his life, Edward Said has talked about how his identity is formed, how it is informed, how it is shaped, but at the same time, how it is reshaped, continually reshaped with increase in experience, with increase in age, and with changes, consequent changes in perspective. So, there are internal as well as external reasons that lead to the formation and reformation of identity. An illness experienced both in one's person and in one's presence tends to shape and reshape a person's character and his or her responses to the world outside, to the others who come in his contact or her. So you will see that when you go on reading these chapters, you will understand them as they come to the fore.